super exciting. All right, we are now live, and I'm super excited for the topic of today, which we are going to amplify the work that we have done on day one and day two. And today we're going to completely rewire our programming, our paradigm, and even our conditioning on how we have been doing and creating our life till now, and that maybe perhaps is not serving us in a certain way with the things that we would love to achieve, and therefore we're going to recognize what's stopping us from creating the life we desire, but also from achieving that which that we fully intend to do, create, and have, and even become. So, today we're going to talk about the reprogrammation of the limiting beliefs. And why did I talk about this belief in itself? It's because this limitation itself, it's because, first of all, if you're new to limiting belief and you don't know what do they mean and what is it exactly, limiting belief, it's an energetic form that we somehow created with our own perception, our own emotions, and even our way of how we perceive things. And sometimes it's done unconsciously, which means that unconsciously we're not aware of what we were feeling, and vibrationally it's given a certain meaning to that energy in itself of that emotion, and now it's formed what we call a limiting belief. So therefore, that limiting belief in itself is now becoming something that is going to be imprinted and anchored in our subconscious mind. And I know that most of you might be wondering, okay, how is it done? And that's exactly what I'm going to explain here, so that you can understand exactly how this limiting belief can also harm us, and also creating blockages into all aspects of our lives, and especially if we're not aware about them, if we're not conscious about them at all. And therefore, those limiting beliefs, like I explained earlier, it's an energetic form that is first vibrationally was created and energetically, and then we give a meaning into it, and sometimes it's done unconsciously. And therefore, from that space in itself of that limiting belief, what is going to be happening is what? And I'm going to take you a little bit back so that you can understand better how is this done. So before we were even born and we came to this world, we already receive certain limiting beliefs from the moment when we were in our mom's womb. Means that when our mom was pregnant of us. And how is it functioning? Is because we are spiritual being, and we are also in a form of a human living a human experience. So that means we communicate vibrationally, we communicate in frequencies and energy, energetic frequency. And I'm going to give an example because sometimes it can appear a little bit like, for our logical sense of ours, and especially our human who wants to know more about what do you mean by that, like, and I'm going to give you an evidence, because that's how it's functioned in itself, because it's created for that purpose. It's created with us, for us, for that purpose, so that it can help us. It can help us have this human experience in itself. So therefore, imagine the moment when you are maybe walking on the street, and then you feel like there is something, like you feel like there is a shadow around you, or maybe you feel like there is someone or something like on behind of your back. And even before you turn, you already felt that there was something. And eventually when you turn, you're going to find that either there is someone or there is something. It can be even a cat or something, or whatever it was, maybe something that was, you were like someone was carrying something, and then you felt that frequency of that energy. And this is how I'm going to explain how we communicate vibrationally and in terms of energetic frequency. Or it can be even, and this is something that we all experience, including me, let's say you're thinking about someone, and then suddenly that person either calls you or send you a message, or it can be even you just meet them somewhere, and you're gonna go like, oh my god, I was just thinking about you, I was wondering how have you been, and etc., and here I am, I'm seeing you. Well, first of all, you manifested that person to meet them, and this is what we call the law of attraction, because now you send a vibration and a frequency of a desire of you thinking of that person, wondering, "Oh, how is this person doing," and etc. Therefore they received that same frequency, even though it's unconscious, and then the law of attraction brought you together to meet somewhere, even though it was not the same day that you thought about that person, but it can be another day, and eventually you're going to meet that person, which means that you manifested that person and that meeting in itself. And the same thing goes like when someone calls you, which means that first of all, when you think about that person, energetically you send a vibration and a frequency to that person, and that person, they're going to find themselves receiving that frequency, and they're going and think about you back, and either they want to call you or they text you and message you, and they're going to be like, oh, I was just thinking about you, I was just talking about you, right? And how many times it happens? Several times, because it happens most of the time. And therefore sometimes scientists, they call it telepathy, but actually what happened is that we charge energy towards that thought of that person, and therefore that was the communication that the person received back and reached as enriched back to from that moment when we thought about them. So that's one of how to explain a little bit how this how we communicate energetically, and even how do we create limiting belief out of that same energy in itself, from our thoughts or from our perception, and even from our own of how we feel emotionally. And the danger is that when you are doing it unconsciously, because let's say you are living you're experiencing a certain experience, and then, of course, as a human, it's hard for us to disassociate with the experience in itself, because we are seeing the experience as something that is happening to us at that moment. And then, therefore, what is going to happen is what? We're going to create a certain vibration, a certain energy towards that experience in itself, which in return is creating a certain emotion. And that emotion is now taking a form, which means that energetically it's already formed from our vibration and our frequency on how we are actually thinking about it. And now with the experience, with those emotion we feel, if we give them a meaning and a signification, now it's going to imprint what we call the limiting belief. Now that limiting belief in itself, how it's going to happen is what exactly? Now you imprinted it, and I'm going to take you back to help you understand how they are being originated, those limiting beliefs, and how they become also a danger for most of us, and especially from the moment they have been created. So let's say you, like I explained you earlier about what's happening before even we were born, and even before we came into this world, when we receive a certain limiting belief from our mom's emotions, from our how way of feeling, and etc., which they imprinted. And especially if a mom, for example, during the pregnancy, they kind of like felt that the pregnancy was difficult, was painful, and maybe was at risk. So most of the time the child will imprint a certain emotion of, I am in danger, and I am, danger is like, I have to taking care of myself, I have to be careful because I'm always in danger. So they created a certain emotion with the emotion that came, that before, even prior the baby came to this world. So that means that even prior we come to this world, we already received certain limiting belief from our mom's experience within the pregnancy. But sometimes it can be even before the pregnancy, because we can receive also some cells of a DNA that imprinted a memory of a certain trauma, certain limiting beliefs that can be given through both parents, and then maybe they carried also from other family members, or from the lineage, or from the family's lineage and ancestral lineage. And that's the danger in itself, because we are not aware of what is it that we are receiving in our nervous system, and it's imprinted in our cells, in our body. And therefore, what's happening is what? Now that we are born from 0 to 7, what's happening is that we are now coming into this world. And as a baby, it's like everything is like, it's like there isn't, it's take it like something that is empty, but not really empty, because we already receive some certain energy, some certain limiting beliefs from our moms during the pregnancy, and even the DNA in itself for ourselves, that from both parents. So there is already a program inside of the baby in itself. So what's happening is that our little human, which means our logic, our ego, is not active yet, because at that time we are in our perfect spiritual being, as as in our state of being, completely in the state of, we are not afraid of anything, we don't doubt, we don't question, and we are simply living life like in a way where everything is just, we are living into the full present moment, where we are just enjoying the life, and we're enjoying. Have you ever told a baby like, hey, be careful, you're gonna hurt yourself? Do they hear you? Of course not, because they are exploring. Everything is new for them. So they are just adventuring themselves. So even if you tell them there is a danger, for them, they don't even understand what is mean danger. They're not afraid of anything. They just want to explore. They just want to see what's going to happen next. And they never hear a negation either. So when you tell them don't do that, they do the opposite. Why? Because for them, they don't hear no. For them, everything is possible, and they're going to do everything, and they allow themselves to experience that, because they are into the perfect state of their spiritual being, of who we truly are naturally, because we are spiritual being living in a human body, having a human experience. And therefore, our logical sense of ours, which means like it's our ego, or you can call it also the little human of yourself. This is the part of our self, or the logician. This is how I love to say. I call it even. It's the one that really help us to model this life in itself. Because it's in charge of everything that is going into our subconscious mind. And I'm going to show you a little bit to make you understand. Now, from 0 to 7, this child is actually creating also limiting belief according to everything that they see. Let's say their own experiences, the way and how they perceive things, the way and how they have been feeling about things around, and etc. So what's gonna happen at that time is that now they're creating also their own limiting belief according to their own state of according to their own emotional state, according to their own way and how they experience themselves with the situation, with the experiences that they are actually going through as a child. So they are forming also their own limiting beliefs. But prior to that, that program also that they received, it's also anchoring also those limiting belief, plus the one they received from the moment even they were born, that was already available there as well. Now, we from 7 to the adult age of who we are today, you have grown with those limiting beliefs, with your own programming that kept on amplifying and taking a different form energetically and even vibrationally, and in terms of frequencies that attracted even different experiences. And even though they still have the same source of vibration and frequency, but the form of experience, because it's different, it gives another different form of another limiting belief. Do you see now? So which means now, from that state, now our logical sense of ours is activated. And because it's activated, now this is the moment when we come and question at from the age of 7 to up to the adult life that we are right now. And then we're going to have fears, we're going to have doubt, we're going to have uncertainties, because the logical sense of ours that is made to protect us and is designed for that purpose, to protect us and give us this life experience, is activated. And therefore, it's going to recognize what it wants and what it doesn't want. Because from 0 to 7, it was unable to reject, because it was just simply like it doesn't recognize what's true and what is not true. But when you have now your logical sense of yours, you question things and you wonder, okay, is this true? Is not true? Why did they tell me this? Why I cannot do this, and etc. Right? And that's the moment when you're going to find yourself that maybe there are things that we have told you when you're a baby, and then you start realizing that everything that you're being told was not even real. It was just like, a fantasy or something that your grandmother came up with, and then but that's not even true, or something like that. And 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 then therefore, that's also the moment when you choose also willingly to actually really believe certain things. And you start also having to create your own limiting belief according to your own perception, according to your own way of thinking, according to your own way of perceiving, and etc. And this is where you amplify also what was already on your programming as your paradigm. And it's become now, you become slave to that programming, because I'm going to explain you a little bit so you can understand why I'm talking about this. Just see that the level of your mind, we are three levels. We are energetical beings, spiritual beings, which means that we are in a form of energy, which is the soul. And another way, it's the higher intelligence of ourselves, or our higher self. And then we have the second part, which is now the how can we call it? The mind. So now the mind in itself, its function as part of this human body. And then we have the nervous system, which is our body now, physical body, which is communicates with the part of our brain. And that brain is, it's part of the mind in itself, because the mind has three parts. So we have the first part, which is the biggest part, which is the subconscious mind. Now this is a part that literally it's run by itself, it's automated, because this is where is actually really anchoring everything, that because it's an emotional mind. So that emotional mind, it's writing everything vibrationally that we're giving into it, and a meaning to that vibration and that energy and that frequency in itself. So those limiting beliefs, it's actually the meaning that we're giving, because at first it was an energy, and then from our perceptions we give a meaning to it by a word, for example. And then from that word we give now a new form to that energy, according to the signification we give to that feeling, on how we felt at that moment, and with that experience that we experience. So now it's taking completely a new form according to the meaning and signification we give to it, that now become that limiting belief. So therefore, now what we need to understand is how to recognize this limiting belief. Because first I told you we have the subconscious mind, which is the biggest part because it's the emotional part, and then we have the conscious mind. Now the conscious mind, most of the time, it's when you are reading something, or maybe you're doing something, or even right here I'm speaking to you, so I'm conscious about what I'm talking about. So I'm using my conscious mind actually to do this, for example, to send this transmission during this live. And or it will be the moment when you're writing something, or you're reading a book, or etc. The moment when you're conscious about what you're doing, and you're focusing your energy into that, you're conscious, because now you are in the present moment. But most of the time you will find that we are in automation with our subconscious mind that takes over, because we already know how to do certain things, like for example going in the morning and brushing your teeth, your teeth. You will find that this is something you do every day, that it's become a habit. So therefore sometimes you can be in the bathroom showering, or brushing your teeth, or even driving, and you are lost on your mind, in your thoughts, but still you're brushing your teeth, still you're showering, still you're driving your car, because now the automation of the programming is taking over. And this is exactly what's happening when you are also intending to achieve a certain things or accomplish a certain things or doing certain things in your life. And then you find yourself that the results are not what is it that you are intending to have. What happened? Is because the limiting belief and the programming that is in your subconscious mind, the paradigm that is already your way on how you've been conditioned to be and show up in your life and create your life, is what is creating the results. Not what you want, not what you actually really are putting consciously to create and calling in to receive. It's the programming. And that's why it's become the danger. So now, how to recognize this limiting belief? It's simply by it has different ways, but I'm going to give you a few ways on how it's you can actually recognize this limiting belief. Is the moment when you are live, from the other person. Let's say they become your mirror, uh, and this is the projection through other person, and then they maybe the triggers they come and then they trigger you, and you feel a certain way, you have a certain emotion, you feel offended and etc., and you feel like they're hurting you and etc. This is a moment when it's showing you an experience where your limiting belief is creating that experience but in a different form, in a different energy, as something new, because now the experience is not the same, it's a new energy, and now the way on how you're going to feel towards that experience, you're going to anchor a new limiting belief with a new form that actually is becoming a new energy. But the vibration that created that experience, the source, is the first limiting belief that was anchored and grew up with you and gave you the same experience again and again and again. I'm going to give you an example so you can understand this better. I have one of my clients, and my clients, she always had this problem with money. It can be she's investing into something and then boom, something happens and she's losing all the money. Or sometimes she can even having dates, and then those dates, whenever she's paying them, another date appears, and etc. and etc. So when we realize that the main major of why she always had this experience was because the source and the major limiting belief about money that she had was that money was not meant to be in her life. Can you see how crazy is that? Money was not meant to be in her life, was not allowed to be in her life. And can you guess how did she get that limiting belief? It wasn't even from her. It was something that she got from her own DNA, from her ancestral lineage. And of course, this is how she was able to turn her life around by just recognizing what was the source of all those experiences she kept repeating as her own patterns in her own paradigm of reality all the time. But she was not aware about that yet. And then when she became aware of that, of course, that's the moment when she was able to finally understand what was causing it and changing it. And now, of course, she's absolutely enjoying the abundance of the flow of the financial abundance that she's receiving in her life through her business, which was never there. But first, she had to recognize what was the source, what was creating this repetitive pattern that she was keeping on observing on her life. Otherwise than that, we can never do that. Maybe we can solve it. And I'm going to give you an example so you can understand it better. Imagine you're planting a seed, and now the seed, it has a different form. And now that form of the seed is completely different in the way in how we look at it. And then when you plant it on the ground, now what is going to appear as the plant out of that seed is going to take also a different form and a different shape and a different color. And now from that plant, now something way bigger is going to grow up, which is now the tree. And now the tree is going to have multiple branches that are going to also have a different form. And now we have the fruits. Now, the fruits are the results that we are actually observing in our life. But the root was the limiting belief that was imprinted at the first place and now grew up with us and took different multiple shapes and form and amplifying, becoming a new energy. And this is what we call about the branches that I told you about, the example of the tree. And now it's creating the result in our life. So some of us, we are always going out there and trying to change the fruits. Something that maybe we're seeing this result. Oh, I don't like this result. Let me just try to fix this results. Because this is our logical sense of ours, the way and how our human being is thinking all the time. I'm seeing this. Oh, this is, I don't like it. Okay, I can fix this. Let me change this. And we try to fix the results. Like, okay, I have done this. It didn't work. Let me just try this. Maybe it can work. But we forget that actually what's creating those results and creating those fruits is the seed that was planted at the first place. So the root of the seed is what is creating the fruit. So if we want to change the fruits, which means the results, we have got to go back and change the roots so that new fruits can actually be observed from that tree, because now we're changing the root in itself of what is actually creating those results. And this is the moment when you have to, like I told you, like the first way and how to recognize your limiting belief is through mirroring through others, your experiences with others when you get triggered all the time. So it's from the triggers, but it can be also from flashbacks. So flashbacks, maybe you are there, you are maybe having some certain, it can be even through that, like maybe you're receiving this transmission and suddenly something comes up in your mind and you remember a certain experience that you lived that made you felt a certain way, and then you go like, oh my god, I didn't know about that. So it comes with the awareness of something, and it can be from that way of having flashbacks, or it can be even during the dreams in itself. Like for me, it happens most of the time also, when I can recognize certain limiting belief from a dream that I saw. And the way and how it comes from what was the thing that you have been thinking, like, prior, or it can be even you're working into a certain things in your life, and you're focusing your energy into those things, and therefore you're going to dream about something somehow that is related to a certain experience where you anchored a certain vibration, a certain belief, a certain frequency that is not serving you, but is emerging, so you can do the work and remove it, so that you can be in alignment with what is it that you are actually intending to do right here, right now, and you're already focusing into it. So that's the moment when your dreams are not going to make sense, but maybe you can dream about, let's say, a childhood friend or something, and then you go like, why did I dream about my childhood friends? And then maybe perhaps when you look at the link and you try to put the dots out of there, you'll find that somehow maybe you had a certain experience with that childhood friend that is, maybe it's made you anchored from that experience a certain limiting belief that doesn't serve you, and is in a perfect contrast of what is it that you are trying to work on right now, and it's helping you also to remove that. And this is very, very, very powerful. Or it can be through the moments when you are doing something with someone, and then they tell you a story, and then it to make you remember a certain experience of your life that you lived as well. So that person came to show you something that you forgot about yourself, and that is not serving you, so that you can remove it, which is powerful as well. So those are the ways on how you can recognize also your limiting belief. Now, how to reprogram the limiting belief? It's very simple. So, first of all, when you recognize already, because we cannot change something that we don't know, we can only change what we know. And if you're looking at the day two, when we talk about the desire shadows and also the transitional phases, and if you don't know how to watch it, you can go back and watch the day two of the live. It's available here on YouTube. And therefore, what's happening is that when you recognize now the limiting belief, what you can do is that you can remove them into three different techniques that I'm going to give you right now. So these three different techniques, it's a way for you to transmute also the limiting belief. so that you can allow yourself to reprogram a new limiting belief. So the first thing is, I love doing this, and it's journaling. Journaling is a very powerful way because we do it through writing, and I have also a special masterclass for that. That is also showing you how to use this powerful tool about journaling. And if you want to know more about it, I'm going to put the link here on the description so that you can grab it for yourself, because this is where I go more into depth on how you can actually really use it. But there is also another program that is called the Solicious Frequency, that I'm going to put also the link below the description here, which is a more in-depth program with more than 5 modules, that is actually really helping you to understand how to fully alchemize, transmute very deep rooted limiting beliefs that are not serving you, but also how to actually really become a powerful genius manifester of your own desires, or anything you are planning to create and having a success with it. So this is the program that is more in depth into it, and you're going to find the link also below the description, or you can comment below Solicious Frequency, and you're going to get all the information about it. My team will make sure that they will give you that information, so that you can have it and look at it. All right. So this is the first technique, the journaling. And I use this tool a lot because it's helping me to understand what is it that I anchored, in terms of my thoughts, in terms of my perceptions, in terms of my feelings that I'm not aware about. And especially you have to know that our logical sense of mind, which is like our subconscious mind, our file manager, which is our ego, our logician, the one that is always there, created for the purpose of protecting us and giving us this human experience, is is the one managing and rejecting what has to be going in and what doesn't have to go in. And therefore, this journaling, it's allowing also your ego, which is the file manager of your subconscious mind, to come and express what's inside of it as your own programming, as your own paradigm. So it comes and offload all of that actually is your new programming that you created somehow. So I love doing that, and especially early in the morning when I wake up and I journal and I say, okay, is there anything here that I'm holding inside of me that is not serving me? And then I'm gonna write down. I'm gonna allow my ego to express, my file manager to express everything that is actually written inside of the subconscious mind, and upload it. And by recognizing that, now there is now the second technique, which I love to use a lot, and this is Ho'oponopono. It's a Hawaiian technique, and you can find it from Joe Vitale, and also another person that is the one who originated it, which is like the one who created zero gravity, if I'm not mistaken. But this person is from Hawaii originally, that created this Ho'oponopono technique. So this is where you're going to see the limiting belief, or even you can use it through triggers, when someone trigger you, or say something that doesn't make you feel good. And this is a way for you to really reconnect with your soul inside of you, and really remember your truth. And this is the moment when you go like, I love you, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, I love you, I thank you, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, thank you, please forgive me, thank you. And these forwards in itself, they're going to really helping you to send a vibration to yourself and all parts of yourself that created that limiting belief at the first place. So you're forgiving that part of yourself that created those limiting belief at the first place, but you're also showering love to that part of yourself that created unconsciously that limiting belief, or either consciously that limiting belief at the first place. And now there is the third technique. And this third technique, it's based on my own experiences, on how I love to do it. And this is a way where you absolutely going and recognize the limiting belief in itself, and you going, I acknowledge you, I recognize you, I thank you for the awareness, I'm showing so much love to you and all part of me that created you. And I thank you for the awareness. And now I'm fully releasing you to the real form of what you are, nothing but energy. And then you imagine that either burning out, or either you're blowing it into a balloon and it's popped out and it's gone, or you can absolutely see it dissolving through air or something like that. However it feels good for you and that can work with you, and you can do it. And there are also multiple techniques on how you can absolutely do it, because you have to know that this emotion and this limiting belief is not just only on your subconscious mind, but your subconscious mind, by imprinting it as the meaning of the you know the meaning of that vibration, and give it a meaning and created a limiting belief. Now it's also giving a signal to your body, your nervous system, to anchor now the vibration. So the vibration and emotion is anchored somehow in your system, in your nervous system. So that's the moment when you will find that there are people who are working on your limiting belief, they're working onto their mindset, they're working into their energy, but then still the results are not appearing. Why? Because they're not also working into the third layer of them, of ourselves, which is the nervous system, which is the body, and removing the energy and the vibration of the limiting belief in itself, that is also creating now our physical reality with those results that are still being created out of there. And also, we have a special program inside of Solutions Academy that is also helping you to understand how to work with your nervous system and all layers of yourself, so that you can really remove the very stubborn limiting belief and emotions and vibration that are not serving you, but are creating a result of your life that you're not happy and satisfied about. And if you want to know more about it, also you can just comment below Solutions Academy, and you're going to receive all the information about it. All right. So now, through this journaling method, I'm going to also show you how you can reprogram new belief, and what is the best way on how to reprogram new limiting belief. Not limiting, because now we're not talking about limiting, because this limiting, it's when it's blocking us, it's not allowing us to create what is it that we want. But new belief that are serving us and is fully aligned with our truth and what is it that we're trying to create as a result. And now this new way in how to reprogram your mind is eventually recognize the, first of all, the limiting belief, and then using the transmutation technique that I showed you earlier with the different three ways on how you can do it, but there are also multiple ways on how you can do it. But I give you the main ones that I feel that they are very useful and easy to use. And then now, through journaling, the first one, what I love to use about journaling is because when you start offloading whatever it is that is the limiting belief inside of you, or the programming that you have inside of you, now eventually you will find yourself transmuting the energy of this limiting belief. And now your soul that knows all the truth and all of you, your past, your future, and your present, will come and express. And that's the moment when you're going to recognize now your truth, choosing your truth, and anchoring that truth to be part as your now living experience, and encrypting in all layers of yourself. So you're transmuting the energy, creating a new belief in your subconscious mind. And of course, there is a way on how to agree with your how to making your your subconscious mind, that I call the ego, the part of ourselves that is logical but is actually created to help us grow and expand, and because it's for that purpose. Because whatever it is that is doing, it's also helping us to understand what is not serving us and guiding us to work on it, so that we can create now the evolution, the expansion, and the growth that we desire, and become more of what is it that we never thought possible. So the soul will come and express now, because now you remove all those, this fog that was invisible for you, and now you have a new energy, and now this new energy speak from your truth, from your soul, that comes and express the truth. And now you're choosing that truth, you're accepting that truth as your truth, and anchoring that belief. And then the best way and how to really reprogram is to fuse with emotion. And the way, like for example, when you're doing the technique of forgiving yourself and showering love to those limiting beliefs, you have got to really fuse with emotion so that you can vibrate that love and that forgiveness within yourself. And this is the best way and how you can absolutely also transmute it energetically. So through that you can reprogram your mind, but also from whenever it is that you're observing the triggers, or maybe someone comes and you're having some flashback, you're not just leaving them and bypassing them, but you're going and really doing the work right there, because you see that now there is an awareness that comes into you, and there is a guidance and a direction that this is what you need to do now, and you're going to actually really work on it and recreating a new belief. But you're not allowing it to go back and recreate a new energy and a new form again, because now remember this experience that you live in the past. When you're remembering it, you're remembering in the present moment as who you are today with your new identity, which means now that new identity, what is going to do is going now to create a new experience. And now this new experience, even though you are thinking about that experience, is taking a new form, a new energy through your own ways on how you are now receiving it and thinking about it into the present moment. So that means you amplify and making a new energy out of that same memory. And this is why it's a crucial for you to work on it when it reveals to you at that moment, so that you don't go back and amplify the energy of the limiting belief in another way of a new energy. And that's how the way on how sorry and this is the best way in how to reprogram your unlimiting belief, by simply being aware of them, recognizing them, now removing them and transmute them in all layers of yourself, energetically, mentally, and also spiritually, mentally, and also physically. And this is also the way and how you can now recreate new beliefs with what is it that you choose now to believe as your truth, and allow it to be part of you, and embodying it as your new way of thinking, as your new way of feeling, as your new way of observing things, and showing up as that person through everything you do, and as who you are, your way of being. And this is how I'm going to leave you here today with this day 3 of the live saga that we're doing all this week, in order for us to end this year powerfully and into the new year with a new energy, but also feeling rejuvenated, feeling amplified, feeling expanded. But most of all, creating the best year ahead with this new power we're fully unleashing within ourselves, and allowing it to root itself in all that we are and all that we do, in order for us to receive all that is that we are meant to receive through these 365 days that are ahead of us, and we're only counting days from today. All right, so I'm showering so much love to you. I will be happy if you can like and subscribe, so that you can also receive notification whenever I'm being live. And also, I'll be happy if you could comment below what was your best shifts that you received through this all live sagas that we have done from day 1, day 2, and day 3, and that was the mega shift with you. And I'll be more than happy to read them and give you also a feedback. So I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you tomorrow for day 4, and I cannot wait. Mwah.